Good morning, everyone. Today's class is on endometriosis and adenomyosis, but in the first class, we'll be dealing with endometriosis. Now, before going to the endometriosis class, let us understand about the basic structure of the internal organ of the female genital organs. So, here you are having uterus, then fallopian tube, ovary, and there are the sites where endometriosis occurs. Now, before going to the actual topic of endometriosis, let us talk about the definition of endometriosis. The presence of functioning endometrium in sites other than uterine mucosa is endometriosis. Now, endometriosis, interna, or adenomyosis are the synonym used for adenomyosis. So, both the terms are used as a synonym: endometriosis interna or adenomyosis. Then endometriosis externa is there, and then prevalence of this endometriosis is around 10%. Now let us talk about the sites of endometriosis. First, we will be talking about the common sites of endometriosis. So those common sites are ovaries, pelvic peritoneum, pouch of Douglas, uterosacral ligaments, retrovaginal septum, sigmoid colon, appendix, pelvic lymph nodes, fallopian tubes. Now, there are other remote sites. Remote means rare sites of endometriosis. So umbilicus, abdominal scar, episiotomy scar, lungs, pleura, ureter, kidneys, even arms and legs, and nasal mucosa. But these are very rare and remote sites of endometriosis. So here diagrammatically we had shown that what are the possible sites of endometriosis. Obviously, the structures which are really very close to the female genital organs are the common sites of endometriosis, like ovaries, pelvic peritoneum, pouch of Douglas, then uterosacral ligaments, sigmoid colon, appendix, pelvic lymph nodes, and fallopian tubes. So those are the structures which are very close to the female genital organs. And other structures in the abdominal organ like ureter, and even in the thoracic cavity, lungs, umbilicus. So these are the rare or remote sites. Now let us talk about the pathogenesis of the endometriosis. So the first one is the Sampson theory. It is also called as retrograde menstruation. We can say that Sampson had explained about the retrograde menstruation. Now, what do you mean by this Sampson theory? That there is a retrograde flow of menstrual blood through the uterine tubes during menstruation. The endometrial fragments get implanted in the peritoneal surface of the pelvic organs. For example, ovaries or uterosacral ligament. And then what happens that cyclic growth and shedding of endometrium at the ectopic sites occurs under the influence of endogenous ovarian hormones. And then retrograde menstruation per se is unlikely to produce endometriosis. But probably a genetic factor of or favorable hormonal milieu is necessary for successful implantation and growth of fragments of endometrium. While this theory can explain pelvic endometriosis, it fails to explain the endometriosis at the distant sites. So we had explained about we had completed about the Sampson theory. So the next is the coelomic metaplasia. Coelomic metaplasia is also called as Mayer and Ivanov theory. Now what happens because of chronic irritation of the pelvic peritoneum by the menstrual blood? It may cause coelomic metaplasia, which results in endometriosis. Now, or what can happen that Mullerian tissues remnants may be trapped within the peritoneum, and they could undergo metaplasia and be transformed into endometrium. So we had completed the two theory, the Sampson theory and Mayer and Ivanov theory. Now the next is the direct implantation. According to this particular direct implantation, the endometrial or decidual tissues start to grow in susceptible individual when implanted in the new sites. Such sites are abdominal scar following hysterectomy, cesarean section, tubectomy, myomectomy. Also endometriosis at the episiotomy scar, vaginal or cervical sites can also be explained with this theory. So we had completed about the direct implantation also. Now coming on to the lymphatic theory. Lymphatic theory was explained by Halban. What does it say? That it may be possible for the normal endometrium to metastasize the pelvic lymph nodes through the draining lymphatic channels of the uterus. This could explain the lymph node involvement. So the next is the vascular theory. This is sound at least to explain endometriosis at distant sites such as lungs, arms or thighs. So we had covered about the vascular theory also. Now coming on to the genetic and immunological factors. As far as genetic basis is concerned, genetic basis of endometriosis probably accounts for the less than 10% of the patients. There is 6 to 7 times increased incidence in first degree relatives. However, a defect of local cellular immunity may be responsible for the ectopic tissues to grow in abnormal sites only in the susceptible women. So we had also covered the genetic and immunological factors. Now last is the environmental theory. Now when we are talking about the environmental theory, it suggests that somatic mutations of cells due to environmental factors like pollutants or dioxins could be responsible for environmental theory. Ovarian and deep infiltrating endometriotic lesions are explained with this theory. So that is how we had covered about the pathogenesis. Now coming on to the pathology. When we are talking about the pathology, we cover it under two headings, the macroscopic appearance and the microscopic appearance. So in the macroscopic appearance, there is the powder burn appearance of the endometric in endometriosis. So here is the photograph of the powder burn appearance. This explains the powder burn appearance. Let us have a look on the powder burn appearance. Now coming on to the microscopic appearance, presence of endometrial tissues, both glands and stroma, phagocytic cells laden with blood pigments, hemosiderin. So this is the microscopic appearance of the endometriosis. Now what do you mean by this powder burn areas? That red flame shaped, these are the red flame shaped areas, red polypoid areas, or we can say yellow brown patches, white peritoneal areas, circular peritoneal defects or subovarian adhesions. These lesions are thought to be more active than the powder burn areas. So this is the macroscopic appearance. Now here is the powder burn areas, macroscopic appearance. Now here is the microscopic appearance of endometriosis. So that is how we had completed about the common sites of the endometriosis, the pathogenesis of endometriosis, and lastly macroscopic and microscopic appearance of the endometriosis. In the next class we will be talking about the clinical features of endometriosis.